Are you looking at purchasing your next home? In this video, we're going to go through how to write a competitive offer. This means all the steps you need to do prior to writing an offer, how to structure an attractive offer, and how to protect yourself. Now, in 2024 in Lancaster, it was a very competitive market with many homes having multiple offers. This can make it really tricky to purchase a property, especially if you're a first-time home buyer or if you have a home to sell. To start off, we're going to go through the steps you need to do before you make an offer. We're also going to talk about what makes an attractive offer to the seller. So starting off, what do I need to do prior to writing the offer? Well, hopefully you found a decent real estate agent, you've done your research, and you've been able to find homes in your area that you like the look of. Now, what you'll also want to do is speak with a lender and get yourself a full pre-approval. This is where someone has taken the time to really go deep on your finances. This is going to make you stand out much more than people who just have a typical pre-qualification, as it shows that you are financially responsible and ready to purchase the home. Once you have that budget set, it's time to look at homes. Now, let's say you're approved for $350,000. You'll probably want to be looking at homes in the $300,000 to $325,000 range. This is because, especially when it gets into summertime where there are lots of transactions going on, you're going to want to have a little bit of wiggle room to be able to offer more than the asking price. Now, I'm not saying you have to offer more than the asking price, especially if it's been on the market for a number of weeks. However, if it's fresh to the market and you're trying to lock up that home before the next open house, you're probably going to have to offer more than the asking price. I found that last year the majority of the homes that we ended up writing on had at least one or more offers. This meant we had to write more competitively and have less contingencies. There's also been a bit of a pricing strategy in Lancaster and York where they'll deliberately list the property at a competitive price to get as many people through the door as quickly as possible. This generally results in more offers and a higher sale price. This means you're just going to have to be very realistic. There's not really a point lowballing someone if it's only been on the market for a couple of days. If you're someone who needs some concessions or some credit towards closing, this may be a good opportunity to offer the asking price or slightly above and ask for those concessions. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, it's mostly going to come down to the price that you're offering, the number of inspections, having a large good faith deposit, and how quickly you can close. If the homeowner is asking for $300,000, it's only been in the market for a few days, you probably want to offer around that $300,000, maybe slightly more. If you're getting financing for a property, it's most likely that you're going to have to get an appraisal. So if a home's listed for $300,000, technically you could offer $400,000 for it. However, if the other homes in the area don't support offering that price, the bank isn't going to lend you that money. This is where an appraisal contingency comes in. Now, if you have the funds, you can offer to bridge an appraisal gap. So if the home only appraised for $290,000, you've offered $300,000, you could say, hey, I will do an appraisal gap of $10,000. This is going to make your offer more attractive than someone who's just offered $300,000. In terms of inspections, the fewer inspections, the stronger your offer is going to look towards the seller. Now, unfortunately, this does mean that you're going to have less protection. For someone who's desperate to have a home inspection, I would say look at homes that have been on the market for 14 days or more. Another thing to do is check with the sellers when they want to settle. Everyone seems to think the quicker the closing, the better. However, the seller may need more time to get out of that home. Therefore, if you can offer flexible options for closing, either a shorter period of time to a longer period of time that matches what the seller is requiring, that could also be a big plus for you. Now, if you're someone who already owns a home, this is where it can be a little bit more tricky. Sellers want the easiest process. If they've found a home that they love and they need the money from theirs, they're going to go for a solid cash offer or conventional financing that doesn't have the risk of the buyer having to sell their own home. To give yourself the best chance, get your home on the market, see if you can have an offer accepted. That way you only have to worry about getting to settlement and not trying to find a buyer for your property. Now, I had really great success last year where if you were able to get pre-approved to purchase your next home or the new home without having to sell your current residence, what we would do is that we would purchase the property. That would then give us a sort of 45 to 60 day window to move all of the stuff out of their existing home, get their home cleaned up nice and tidy. We'd do all of the open houses, try and get their home sold as quickly as possible, and then close before they had to make a double mortgage payment. Then what you would do is once your original home sold, you would then recast the loan. And what this meant was you take the equity after the sale. You could then use that to put a big chunk of money down towards the mortgage on the new property that you'd purchased, which would bring down your overall payment. Now, the risk is if you don't price your house correctly, it can sit on the market for a little while and you may have to make double payments. What I found worked for me and my clients was having a very open dialogue with the selling or listing agent. I would always give them a call before writing the offer to see, hey, are there any other offers currently? What is the most important thing to your seller? Is it price, inspections, settlement date? And then I could go from there. I would then call them again after I submitted the offer to say, hey, this is the offer we've submitted. Is there anything else we need to do right now? And then what I would do is I would give them a time to say when I was going to follow up with them. If you write an absolutely killer offer and they accept it straight away, happy days. However, in most cases, they'll take your offer, especially if you're the first one in, set a deadline and shop around to other people. Now, a couple of ways that you can use to defend against this is writing a relatively aggressive deadline. So let's say you look at a property on Monday at 5 p.m. If you get your offer across to them by 7 p.m. and you write a deadline for 3 to 5 o'clock, the listing agent is going to have to present that to the seller. It's up to the seller to decide if they want to accept the offer or not. Now, some people won't like this because it is relatively aggressive. However, technically, they will still have to present it in that time. Another tactic that we would do is we would write 2 offers. One would be a slightly better offer, writing that shorter deadline. And then let's say you wanted to extend that deadline by a day, we would reduce the purchase price or an overall net offer by a couple of $1,000s. This would incentivize the seller to make a quick decision and not hold out for more offers. Now, again, this is relatively aggressive and some sellers and some listing agents won't like this. At the end of the day, you've got to do what you need to win the home that you want. In summary, unfortunately in Lancaster and York County, it's been very much a seller's market in the last couple of years. This looks to continue as we go into 2025. So you want to make sure that you've got your pre-approval in order, figuring out what protections you want in terms of inspections. If you're an existing homeowner and you're looking to purchase another one, see if you can get approved to purchase the new one without being contingent on the sale of yours. Always write an offer that if you woke up the next day and you'd lost, you wouldn't be upset by it. The amount of people who find a home they really like, they write an offer, they lose, and then they go, oh, you know what, I actually would have paid an extra $5,000 or $6,000. And sometimes that could have been the difference between them winning the home and not. So don't have offer remorse. Make sure you write as strong an offer as you're willing to do for that property. If you're looking for guidance on how to purchase your next home in an extremely competitive market, drop me a comment or a DM and we can see exactly how to get you into your next home.